Mr. Miguna, first of all, after the ordeal that you have been through about the deportation from Kenya to Canada, what next for you?
I'm challenging the illegal action by the illegitimate government of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. And today my lawyers filed a petition seeking to invalidate that whimsical decision by Matiang'i, and also seeking to reinstate my Kenyan passport, and also seeking an order requiring them to facilitate my travel back to Nairobi. So that was filed today.
Yeah, but that's it. That is happening in a country where you have obviously shown discontent. I mean, you are not happy with the way the police have been reacting to those court orders. Do you think that this will see the light of day?
But you have to understand that the courts have not, so far, in this case of mine, the courts have issued 7 orders against the state, which the state has not complied with. But I have orders by the courts, so I don't fear that the courts will give me the order that I'm seeking. Kenya must be a country governed by the rule of law. Kenyan authorities, illegitimate or legitimate ones, must respect the court and uphold court orders. And we are not going to beg for the authorities to do so. And so we are following the process that is enshrined in the Constitution and that is recognized by law. And that's all I have to do. There is no other option. I have to challenge them in court.
Fair enough, but how about if they do not honor those court orders? Then what happens to you, from now on?
You see,
yes,
that's a hypothetical question which, as a well-trained and experienced lawyer, I don't answer. I deal with concrete facts the way they present themselves. So far, I've gone to court, and so far, I've received valid court orders 7 separate times. Orders that we are waiting to be enforced and abided by. I mean, Uhuru Kenyatta will have to make a decision. Is he going to govern outside the law, or is he going to govern inside the law? No matter how short or long his administration will be. We, people like me, who believe in the principles of constitutionalism, will force him to operate within the law, whether he's president or not. And so that's not an option. We are going to force him to do that. We are not going to allow anyone, no matter how powerful or rich, to disobey court orders. That we are going to do, and that we are going to succeed on, because Kenya is going to be on the path of democracy. We are not going to allow Kenya to latch into a dictatorship and become a rogue state. That's not an option.
Now, the Kenyan government has given reasons for getting you out of the country, saying that you renounced your Kenyan citizenship through the spokesperson of the ministry involved, Mwenda Njoka. Bwana Miguna, je, ulikana uraia wako wa Kenya?
Ask him to show you the evidence of the renunciation. Ask him to give you a document that I signed renouncing my Kenyan citizenship. You see, the press must do its job. When I tell you that I have 7 court orders, I have copies. If you want, I can give them to you. And the press has published the copies of the court orders I got. My detention is in the public domain. If somebody is saying we're going to renounce his citizenship, let him produce the document of renunciation. It does not exist because I would never have done that. And it is not a requirement in Canada or any other country that recognizes dual citizenship to require renunciation. That's the purpose why they have dual citizenship. So no, I did not do so, and they cannot prove that I did so. And so, as far as I'm concerned, they are acting illegally. 2, even if I did, and of course I didn't, you still must follow a legal process to invalidate anybody's citizenship and also to deport them. Even deporting a refugee, deporting an immigrant, is a process. One, you have to legally notify the person in writing. Two, you have to give the person an opportunity to respond. Three, you have to provide a fair, objective, neutral avenue, judicial process where the person can challenge that decision. Three or four, a court must be able to make the determination on whether or not the person should be deported. It's not up to you to wake up one day and say, you're not a citizen, I'm deporting you, and then you do it. It is a legal process. Remember, there are Kenyans who have been ordered extradited by the International Criminal Court. They have not been extradited to the ICC, even though the ICC issued orders, because the Kenyan state have refused to extradite it. These are people whom the International Court have ordered extradited. Two, there are Kenyans whom the Jersey court in UK have found guilty of serious crimes in Jersey, and have sent extradition orders to Kenya to extradite. People like Gichuru, people like the former minister Okemo. Have they been taken to Jersey or the UK? No, because they have gone to the High Court and they are following the process. Whether you like it or not, that's the process. How come the same did not happen to me? And yet, I am not even facing charges in Kenya. I've not been convicted. So how do you just put me in a plane in violation of court orders that say you should produce me to court? So I'm not going to have this whitewashed or distorted. The fact is, the Kenyan authorities have acted rogue, have employed draconian measures against legitimate critics and opponents, and must be exposed.
Very briefly, Mr. Miguna, I think the argument from the government has been that you took up Canadian citizenship long before the new constitution, which allowed dual citizenship. That is what they are basing the opposition on.
It is not an argument.
No.
And it's either law or it is not. It's either fact or it is not. It's not an argument. This is not conjecture. This is not an opinion. The fact of the matter is that show me the law that says that you can take my citizenship even if there was no dual citizenship. Show me the law. There's no law. There is no law that says a Kenyan-born citizen can lose citizenship at any stage of his life. The law says you cannot. That's the law. It was the law before the new constitution. It's the law now. So you can't pick what you say and then which law to obey. The same law is the one the Kenyan courts are enforcing. The same law is the one the Kenyan courts say bring him to court. They did not say take him and deport him, and they disobeyed it. So anybody, and of course the people who are making these arguments are not even lawyers, completely ignorant. They don't know what they are talking about. Let them go to court and have the court validate what they are saying. So far, the court has slammed them repeatedly. Let them show me a court order that authorized what they did. You cannot just say because I hold public office, I decide that somebody is not a citizen. That's not how it works. Because otherwise, political enemies, rivals, business rivals, people who just don't like you will declare you persona non grata and then deport you from Kenya or any other country.
Let's move on then to the speech that you made in Nairobi before, I think was a day before you were arrested, left many people deducing that you felt betrayed by the core principals who never showed up for that quote-unquote swearing-in ceremony. Was it your feeling that Kalonzo Musyoka and the two other core principals let you down?
No, let me down as what? As who? I swore Raila in. That's what I went there to do. I did not go there to swear Kalonzo in. I don't care what Kalonzo does or what any one of them does. I care about the fact that I went there with an oath. Raila read the oath. He signed it. I commissioned it. We showed it to the public. The event ended successfully and peacefully. These are facts.
Yeah, but again, it was expected that he would be sworn in together with his running mate, the former running mate.
Who?
If you like.
But what do you mean it was expected? It was not expected by me. What I went there to do, I did. I can't be disappointed when I did what I was supposed to do. If somebody else wanted to do something else and did not manage to do what they wanted to do, that's up to them. As far as I'm concerned, I did what I set out to do successfully, and Kenyans are happy with what we did. At least the majority of them.
Okay, you have said, as well as Mr. Odinga, you both of you are on record as saying that NRM is not an organization, but it's an idea. And that the government, Mr. Odinga said this yesterday, the government is chasing shadows. Now, you have openly declared yourself as the general of NRM. Obviously, you are not a shadow, so are they chasing shadows or are they after real people?
Have you seen the registration certificate of NRM? No. Is NRM an organization registered anywhere in the world? Only in Uganda. National Resistance Movement is a Ugandan organization that governs Uganda. Whether you like it or not, that's where it is. The NRM Kenya is a movement all over the world. It's never registered, and we didn't register ours. Our objectives are legitimate. Our objectives are not violent. We've never said so. Our objectives are not illegal. So how do you ban something you did not register? How do you gazette something you never? How do you de-gazette something you never gazetted? Now, if you say that an organization is a criminal organized group, you have to first of all tell us what objectives of that organization. First of all, is it an organization? And you have to prove it. Secondly, if it is not an organization, or if you can prove it is an organization, show the objects of the organization which are violent. They can't show. Show us members who have criminal records executing criminal objects of the organization. They can't show. When they arrested or abducted me from home and purported that they were going to charge me, why didn't they take me to court if they believed that I had committed a criminal offense? So that at least they could convict me and then say that because of my affiliation to NRM Kenya, this organization was criminal. They couldn't even do that. Why deport me instead of try me? Does that sound legitimate? But yes, I'm a general in NRM Kenya, the movement. And I have no apologies to make about that.
Okay, finally, this is a question that I'm sure you have been asked before. There seemed to be discontent that you did not believe that Mr. Odinga was capable of leading Kenya. Matter of fact, in your book, you cast aspersions on as to his leadership qualities. At what point, Mr. Miguna, did you change your mind?
One, I have never ever said that even Uhuru Kenyatta is qualified to govern Kenya. I have never said William Ruto is qualified to govern Kenya. The same book, and I believe you are referring to Peeling Back the Mask,
yes,
The Quest for Justice in Kenya, criticize Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto, and Kibaki more than I criticize Raila Odinga. Now, if you're asking any author of a 610 plus pages book about what they said, it is incumbent upon you to quote the chapter, to quote the page, to quote exactly what he said and the context in which it was said, and then ask the question. Mr. Odinga is not an angel.
Yes.
Mr. Odinga has serious weaknesses, just like many other people and leaders in Kenya. I pointed those things out. He recognizes what I pointed out. He has come to terms with them. I mean, Uhuru Kenyatta was accused at the International Criminal Court and charged there for killing civilians, for raping them. And it was said that he killed William Ruto's ethnic members and supporters, and that William Ruto did the same against Uhuru Kenyatta's ethnic community and members. Are they not working together now? You can't pick and choose. Miguna is not the only person who has disagreed with anyone and then worked with them. Look at the history throughout the world. Obama fought very strongly against Hillary Clinton and against Kerry Didn't he appoint them secretaries of state? He did. But what did they say about each other?
Yeah, but when a question comes up,
so what I'm trying to say is
based on something you wrote in a book, you just explain it. It doesn't mean that we are taking any positions, Mr. Miguna. Yeah, Mr. Odinga has said that he would like a repeat election be held by August. Your thoughts?
Elections should be held even before August. As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Odinga is being very generous. Uhuru Kenyatta did not win an election. Uhuru Kenyatta should not be the president of Kenya. And they should have a credible election held as soon as possible. That's my thought.
Now, in regards to, and I know you have mentioned this, that they broke into your house. How do you like this addressed by the government?
I've gone to court. I'll be seeking compensation. I'll be seeking many, many other declaratory orders. And we'll let the court play itself out. The Kenyan government, the illegitimate government of Uhuru Kenyatta, will be brought to book.
I also would like to get your take on the closure of the airwaves. Some of the TV stations they have since been opened, but there was a blackout for an extended period of time. Your take on this?
Well, it is a demonstration of desperation. Jean Kierkegaard, a German philosopher, once wrote a book, a treatise, a philosophical treatise called Fear and Trembling. That is what the legitimate Kenyan government is going through. They are scared to death, they are desperate, they are fearful, and eventually they will have to be removed from power. So what they did by trying to shut down the media for more than a week was so that Kenyans did not see the multitude of people that attended our rally at Uhuru Park. Millions of them. It was not tens of thousands. It was more than 1 million people that showed up. They did not want the average citizen to see that. They did not want the average citizens to see that Raila Odinga took a solemn oath as a people's president, and that the function was very peaceful and somber, and that without the police killing people, tear-gassing them, brutalizing them, we would have peaceful, events in Nairobi, like it happened on the 30th of January. Nobody was killed at Uhuru Park. Nobody was stoned at Uhuru Park. Nobody's property was stolen. So it means that violence is actually inflicted on Kenyans by this illegitimate administration.
Okay, I'll take you back a little. You mentioned that the election should happen even before August, as Mr. Odinga has suggested. Yet the Supreme Court has argued that it did its part in terms of, bringing out, making a ruling on issues that were before it. The IEBC itself, said it's over. My question then would be, do you think that there is enough time between now and the time you say the election should be held for IEBC to, quote-unquote, put its house in order?
Elections are held all over the world within 30 days. In Canada here, elections are held even in 20 days. You don't need 2 months, 3 months to hold elections, one. Two, the reforms that we want in the IEBC are very easy to do. They are based on structure, infrastructure, and individuals that were compromised, that committed illegality. They need to be replaced by women and men, citizens of Kenya, of integrity. That's all you need. And then you put a process into place of conducting a verifiable, transparent, and credible election. That's not nuclear physics. It's very easy to do. And that's what we must have, so that the will of the people prevails. Right now, less than 40% of Kenyans showed up to vote in the coronation exercise of October 26th. Out of 20 million registered voters, less than 4 million people showed up. It was an indictment against Uhuru Kenyatta. Kenyans basically told him, we don't support you. They said it resoundingly. They had an opportunity to show up and vote for Uhuru Kenyatta, and they refused.
I have two very last questions. Number one, the members of the NASA coalition who are in Parliament have since yesterday, I want to believe, have not been involved, or they have skipped the vetting exercise of President Kenyatta's cabinet nominees. I just wanted to get your take briefly on that.
Well, they can't participate in a vetting exercise of an illegitimate government.
Yeah.
They don't recognize Uhuru Kenyatta as president. They don't recognize Uhuru Kenyatta's cabinet as the cabinet of the Republic of Kenya. So whatever is happening in Parliament is a Jubilee affair. It's a caucus of Jubilee doing its exercises in a national institution. It should be treated with the contempt that it deserves.
Okay, Mr. Miguna, there are those who think that it looks like you might be the one who will be stepping into Mr. Odinga's shoes. These are not my words. These are words from people that have been following what is happening and have been reading from elsewhere. That you might be taking up the mantle of Mr. Odinga probably when he retires. What do you say?
That's not something I would comment on. It's not up to me to decide who steps into whose shoes, who gets into what positions. That's up to Kenyans to decide. So I'm not going to comment on that.